Welcome to part 2 of our Flutter Notes App series. In this video, we'll dive deeper into Flutter by covering designing the Create Notes screen UI, creating a custom text field widget, understanding the text editing controller, exploring multiple widgets to enhance your UI, creating the Notes UI. Designing a Notes UI in Flutter involves understanding the core principles of user interface design and how Flutter's widget system can bring those principles to life. The Notes UI serves as the primary interface where users interact with the application. It should be intuitive, responsive, and aesthetically pleasing. The layout typically includes a list of notes, each represented by a card or a list tile. These notes can be displayed in a vertical list, allowing users to scroll through their entries. The UI should also provide options to add new notes, edit existing ones, and delete notes. These actions are often facilitated through buttons or swipe gestures. In Flutter, the List View widget is commonly used to display a scrollable list of items. Each note can be represented as a card or list tile widget, which provides a material design visual structure. To enhance the user experience, you can add features like swipe to delete, long press to edit, and drag to reorder. The design should also consider accessibility and responsiveness. This means ensuring that the UI is usable for people with disabilities and that it adapts well to different screen sizes and orientations. Flutter's Media Query and Layout Builder widgets can be used to make the UI responsive. Incorporating themes and custom styles can further improve the look and feel of the Notes UI. Flutter's theme data allows you to define colors, fonts, and other visual aspects that can be applied consistently across the app. By focusing on these aspects, you can create a Notes UI that is not only functional but also provides a delightful user experience. Creating a custom text field widget. In Flutter, the text field widget is used to receive user input. However, in many applications, the default text field may not meet all the design requirements. This is where creating a custom text field widget comes into play. A custom text field allows you to modify various properties to match the desired design. For instance, you can change the border style, add icons, adjust padding, and customize the text style. This level of customization ensures that the input field aligns with the overall theme of the application. To create a custom text field, you can start by defining a new widget that wraps the text field and applies the desired customizations. This approach promotes reusability and maintainability, as the custom text field can be used throughout the application wherever an input field is needed. One of the key benefits of creating a custom text field is the ability to encapsulate common logic and styling in a single place. For example, if you want all input fields to have a consistent error message display or focus behavior, you can implement this logic within the custom text field widget. Additionally, custom text field widgets can be designed to handle specific input types, such as email, password, or phone number. By validating the input and providing appropriate feedback, you can enhance the user experience and ensure data integrity. In summary, creating a custom text field widget in Flutter allows for greater flexibility and control over the user input experience, leading to a more polished and user-friendly application. Understanding Text Editing Controller. The Text Editing Controller in Flutter is a powerful tool for managing the text being edited in a text field or text form field. It acts as a bridge between the UI and the underlying data, allowing you to read the current text, modify it, and listen for changes. When you create a text field, you can associate it with the Text Editing Controller. This controller holds the current value of the text field and can be used to programmatically change the text, set the cursor position, and perform other operations. One of the primary uses of Text Editing Controller is to retrieve the text entered by the user. By accessing the text property of the controller, you can get the current value. This is particularly useful when you need to validate the input or save it to a database. Another important feature is the ability to set the text programmatically. By assigning a new value to the text property, you can update the content of the text field. This is useful when you want to pre-fill a form field or reset the input after a submission. The Text Editing Controller also provides methods to manipulate the text, such as clear to remove all text and selection to set the cursor position. These methods give you fine-grained control over the text editing experience. To ensure proper resource management, it's important to dispose of the Text Editing Controller when it's no longer needed. This can be done by calling the dispose method, typically in the dispose lifecycle method of the widget. In conclusion, the Text Editing Controller is an essential component for managing text input in Flutter applications, providing both control and flexibility. Exploring the text field widget. The text field widget in Flutter is a fundamental component for capturing user input. It provides a simple and customizable way to allow users to enter text into an application. By default, the TextField widget is decorated with an underline. However, you can customize its appearance using the Input Decoration property. This allows you to add labels, icons, hint text, and error messages, among other things. The TextField widget is highly versatile and can be configured to handle various types of input. For example, you can set the keyboard type property to specify the type of keyboard to display, such as numeric or email. You can also use the obscure text property to hide the text being entered, which is useful for password fields. Another important aspect of the TextField widget is its ability to handle focus. By using the focus node in TextEditingController, you can manage the focus state and text editing behavior programmatically. This is particularly useful when dealing with multiple input fields and needing to control the flow of focus. The TextField widget also supports input formatting and validation. By using the Input Formatters property, you can define rules for formatting the input, such as limiting the number of characters or allowing only certain characters. The onChanged and onSubmitted callbacks provide ways to respond to user input in real time or when the user submits the text. In summary, the TextField widget is a powerful and flexible tool for capturing user input in Flutter applications. Its extensive customization options and integration with other Flutter components make it an essential part of any form or input interface. Understanding Floating Action Button. The Floating Action Button, FAB, in Flutter is a circular button that floats above the content of the application. It is typically used to represent a primary action, such as adding a new item or composing a new message. The FAB is a key component in material design, providing a consistent and intuitive way for users to perform actions. It is usually placed in the scaffold widget's floating action button property, ensuring it is positioned correctly on the screen. One of the defining characteristics of the FAB is its elevation, which gives it a floating appearance. You can adjust the elevation using the elevation property, allowing you to create a raised or flat look depending on the desired aesthetic. The FAB's shape and size can also be customized, though it typically remains circular to align with material design guidelines. If needed, the mini property can be set to true to create a smaller version, which is helpful in dense UI layouts or when the button's function is secondary but still needs to be accessible. The primary feature of the floating action button is the onPressed callback. This is where you define the action that should take place when the user taps the button. In a Notes app, for instance, tapping the FAB might open a new screen or dialog where the user can compose a new note. It should always be tied to a meaningful, context-sensitive action. This consistency and purpose helps users form expectations and use the app more efficiently. You can also enrich the FAB with visual and interactive feedback. Adding an icon to the button, often a plus sign for adding a new item, provides a clear and recognizable symbol of the action it performs. You might use other icons as well, like a pen for editing or a camera for capturing input, depending on the feature set of your app. Additionally, animations and transitions associated with the FAB can enhance user experience. For example, when transitioning from the main notes list to the note creation page, the FAB might smoothly transform into a text input field or animate into the toolbar, suggesting continuity and guiding the user's attention. Flutter makes such animations easier to implement with built-in support for transitions and hero animations. It's important to note that a floating action button should never feel intrusive. It should always complement the interface, not clutter it. Overuse of the FAB or assigning it too many responsibilities can overwhelm or confuse users. So in your Notes app, keep its role focused, perhaps just on adding new notes, and use other UI elements for secondary actions. In summary, the floating action button is an essential UI element for triggering key actions within an app. When used thoughtfully, it not only supports user tasks efficiently but also enhances the app's visual structure and flow. Explaining the column widget. Now let's talk about the column widget, which is one of Flutter's fundamental layout widgets and plays a huge role in organizing content vertically on the screen. You'll find yourself using column quite frequently, especially in screen structures like forms, settings panels, and, in your case, UI elements for a Notes app. A column widget takes a list of children widgets and arranges them vertically, from top to bottom. It's great for stacking elements like a title, a text field, some buttons, and maybe a floating action button, all in one vertical arrangement. What makes the column powerful is how flexible and adaptive it is. It doesn't just stack things, it gives you control over alignment, spacing, and layout behavior. One of the most critical properties in a column is main axis alignment, which controls how the children are placed along the vertical axis. You can space them out evenly, start them at the top, center them, or push them toward the bottom. This helps you fine-tune the visual hierarchy and guide the user's attention where you want it. Similarly, cross-axis alignment handles alignment on the horizontal axis, whether elements should be aligned to the start, end, center, or stretched across the available width. Column also works hand-in-hand with widgets like expanded and flexible, which give you the ability to distribute available space among children dynamically. So if you have one widget that needs to take up most of the screen, like your notes list, and others that only need as much room as they naturally require, like a button or a header, you can arrange them accordingly. But here's the catch: columns don't scroll by themselves. This is something a lot of beginners run into. If your column gets too tall to fit on the screen, you'll need to wrap it in a single child scroll view to make it scrollable. This is especially relevant in form-based screens where there might be many text fields or in layouts that need to work across various screen sizes. Another important consideration is performance. If your column has many widgets that may be created or destroyed during scrolling, such as dynamic lists or repeated structures, you might want to look into list view instead. But for static, vertically aligned elements that aren't too many, column keeps things straightforward and clean. In essence, the column widget is all about structuring your UI vertically with control and precision. It's an indispensable tool in your Flutter layout toolkit and plays a crucial role in building clean, well-aligned, and responsive user interfaces. Icons also have a role in accessibility. By providing semantic labels or wrapping icons in semantics widgets,